shadows rising.
The Eldergreen forest had always been a place of mystery, filled with ancient trees and whispered legends. But recently, a darker presence had settled among its shadows. Goblins, orcs, and trolls stirred under the command of a ruthless chieftain, his crown made from twisted bones, his ambition burning brighter than his loyalty. From deep within the forest, a call went out, a summons for creatures of chaos to rally. Queen Seraphine's scouts reported strange happenings, tales of an army forming in the woods, led by a figure cloaked in shadow and cruelty, intent on claiming the throne. Seraphine knew she had no choice but to send her most trusted knight. With Alaric's blade, Kaelin's bow, and Thrain's hammer, a sliver of hope sparked in the looming darkness. Together, they would journey into the heart of the forest, unaware of the trials and alliances that awaited, each step drawing them closer to a battle that would determine the fate of the realm.
Alaric and the Shadows of the Deep Forest. Chapter 1. Rumors of Darkness. Alaric was sharpening his sword when a messenger arrived in Seraphine's court, breathless and pale.
"My queen,"
he stammered.
"Rumors speak of dark forces gathering in the Eldergreen forest. They say goblins and orcs are amassing, led by a dark figure who seeks your throne."
Seraphine looked at Alaric, her face set.
"This is no rumor,"
she said.
"You must go, Alaric. You're the only one I trust to uncover the truth and stop this threat."
Alaric nodded, his white hair catching the torchlight.
"Consider it done, my queen."
As he prepared to leave, Seraphine's eyes softened.
"Be careful. Evil lurks where light doesn't reach."
Chapter 2. The Outskirts of Eldergreen. Arriving at the forest's edge, Alaric could feel the darkness pulsing through the air, a chill that prickled his skin. Soon he was joined by an elven archer named Kaelin, her braided hair adorned with feathers, and her sharp eyes scanning the shadows.
"Are you Alaric?"
she asked, sizing him up.
"The Queen's Knight?"
Alaric nodded.
"And you must be the guide she promised."
She nodded, her gaze unwavering.
"It's worse than you think. There are whispers that an orc warlord, Bolgath, is rallying the tribes. He's forged alliances with goblins and trolls. If he reaches the throne..."
Alaric tightened his grip on his sword.
"Then we won't let him get that far."
Chapter 3. The Ambush. Deep into Eldergreen, the eerie silence was broken by rustling from all sides. Kaelin froze, her hand signaling Alaric to stop.
"Goblins,"
she said, pointing at them, notching an arrow.
"They're everywhere."
Suddenly, a group of goblins burst from the underbrush, their eyes glowing with malice. Alaric swung his sword, cutting down one after another, while Kaelin's arrows struck true, each shot a death sentence. One goblin, his face twisted in a cruel grin, snarled at Alaric.
"The warlord knows you're coming. He says your head will make a fine prize."
Alaric's eyes blazed as he dispatched the goblin.
"Then tell him I'll bring the battle to him."
Chapter 4. A Fiery Ally. As they traveled further, they came upon a campfire. Sitting by the flames was a dwarf, his beard thick and braided with silver rings. His armor was dented but well-maintained, and he had a massive hammer beside him.
"Who are you?"
Alaric demanded, stepping forward. The dwarf looked up, unfazed.
"Name's Thrain. Heard there's a bit of trouble in these woods and thought I'd join the fun."
Kaelin raised an eyebrow.
"And why would a lone dwarf venture into Eldergreen?"
Thrain chuckled, his eyes gleaming with mischief.
"Rumour has it there's an orc warlord who thinks he can claim the throne. I have a grudge to settle with orcs."
Alaric nodded.
"Then you're welcome to join us."
Thrain grinned.
"Lead the way, lad. Let's teach those monsters a lesson they won't forget.
Chapter 5. The Troll's Den. In the heart of Eldergreen, they encountered a dark cave reeking of decay. Inside, 2 towering trolls guarded the entrance, their mottled skin blending with the shadows. Kaylin's voice was low when she spoke.
We have to get past them, but trolls don't fall easily.
Thrain hefted his hammer, grinning, and said,
Leave them to me.
As the trolls charged, Thrain met them head-on, his hammer swinging with deadly force. Alaric and Kaylin moved in tandem, slicing and shooting with precise strikes. Finally, with a bellowing roar, the last troll fell, shaking the ground as it collapsed. Breathing heavily, Thrain looked at Alaric and spoke with a big smile on his face.
Not bad for a day's work.
Alaric nodded, wiping his sword, and replied,
Let's keep moving.
Chapter 6. The Goblin Chieftain. They continued through the forest until they reached a clearing where a goblin chieftain stood, surrounded by his minions. The chieftain wore a makeshift crown and held a staff adorned with bones. Kaylin's eyes narrowed.
That's Grizak, a ruthless goblin. He serves Bolgath.
Grizak sneered as he spotted them.
So the Queen's Knight comes to die in these woods?
Alaric stepped forward.
Your reign of terror ends here, Grizak.
The goblin laughed, signaling his warriors.
Then let's see if you're as brave as they say.
The ensuing battle was fierce, but Alaric's skill and the unity of his allies overwhelmed the goblins. Grizak fell with a howl, his makeshift crown clattering to the ground. Kaylin picked it up, inspecting it with disdain.
A fitting end for a tyrant.
Chapter 7. The Alliance of the Wilds. As they journeyed deeper, they encountered a band of centaurs who had also suffered under Bolgath's tyranny. Their leader, a proud centaur named Seraphine, had scars marking his face and a steely gaze. Seraphine addressed Alaric.
We seek revenge on Bolgath. Will you allow us to fight with you?
Alaric extended his hand.
We would be honored to have your strength. Together, we'll end his dark rule.
With a fierce cry, the centaurs pledged their loyalty, and the alliance of men, elves, dwarves, and centaurs set off to confront the warlord. Chapter 8. The Siege begins. Reaching Bolgath's fortress, they saw the orcs patrolling the walls, their eyes filled with malice and bloodlust. Bolgath himself, a massive orc with battle scars and dark armor, stood atop the ramparts, his eyes narrowing as he spotted Alaric.
Welcome, traitor,
he called down.
Come to die, have you?
Alaric's voice rang out.
Your reign ends today, Bolgath. Eldergreen will be free.
Bolgath laughed.
I've conquered armies. You are nothing to me.
The battle began, with Alaric leading the charge. The centaurs surged forward, their hooves thundering as they broke through the ranks. Thrain's hammer crushed orcs left and right, while Kaylin's arrows struck with deadly precision. Chapter 9. The Warlord's Wrath. Bolgath descended into the fray, his massive axe cutting through warriors as he advanced on Alaric. Alaric met him with a fierce clash, their weapons sparking as they struck. Bolgath sneered.
You're a fool, Alaric. No one can defeat me.
Alaric gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing.
I fight for more than power. I fight for those you've terrorized.
The battle raged, both warriors pushing each other to their limits. Finally, with a powerful strike, Alaric knocked Bolgath's axe from his hands. Bolgath's face twisted in fury.
No, I am the rightful ruler.
Alaric's blade flashed.
You were nothing but a tyrant.
With a final blow, Alaric ended the warlord's reign. Chapter 10. Victory and Renewal. With Bolgath defeated, the remaining orcs and goblins fled, their forces scattered. The forest was finally free of darkness, the air clear and bright. Karen placed a hand over his heart.
You have given us back our freedom, Alaric. We will remember this day.
Thrain clapped Alaric on the shoulder.
Not bad for a lad from the Queen's court.
Kaelin smiled, her voice soft.
Thank you, Alaric, for uniting us.
Alaric looked over his allies, pride and relief filling him.
This victory is ours, together. Eldergreen will be safe as long as we stand united.
As the sun set over the forest, Alaric knew they had reclaimed not just the land, but a bond that would protect it for generations to come.